Right now, as you watch this video, India is constructing something so massive it will reshape the global economy forever. And most of the world has no idea it's happening. This isn't just another infrastructure project. This is a strategic chess move that could shift economic power away from China and the West. Whether you're an investor, a business owner, or just someone who wants to understand where the world is heading, this affects your future. But before we dive in, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment. I subscribe. And I'll personally welcome you into the family. With that said, let's get started. Let's start with the number that made economists around the world stop and stare. $1.5 trillion. That's how much India is pouring into infrastructure by 2030. To put that in perspective, that's more than the entire GDP of Mexico. Highways, airports, freight corridors, and smart cities being built at a pace never seen before in human history. Meet Rajesh. He's 34, runs a small electronics manufacturing unit in Mumbai. For years, he watched his business struggle because of one problem: logistics. Getting his products from his factory to the ports took 4 days. 4 entire days. During that time, his Chinese competitors were shipping products in half the time, undercutting his prices, and stealing his contracts. He was about to shut down. Then December 2023 happened. A new expressway opened, part of India's national infrastructure pipeline. Suddenly, Rajesh could get his products to the port in 18 hours. The World Bank's 2024 report shows that every 10% improvement in logistics efficiency increases a country's GDP by 1.2%. That's not theory. That's measurable economic transformation. Rajesh's revenue jumped 340% in 9 months. He hired 47 new workers. His kids now go to private school. But here's what nobody's talking about. While India builds roads and bridges, there's a hidden risk in this master plan. A risk so significant that if India doesn't address it, everything could collapse. But first, you need to understand what India is really building. Because the infrastructure is just the beginning. India is constructing 83,000 kilometers of national highways. That's enough to circle the earth twice. The Mumbai-Nagpur Expressway cuts travel time from 16 hours to just 8. The Delhi-Mumbai Expressway, India's longest, reduces what was a 24-hour journey to just 12 hours. But it's not just about roads. India is building the world's largest metro network. Delhi's metro already carries 6 million passengers daily. By 2027, 15 Indian cities will have fully operational metro systems. Compare that to the United States, which has metro systems in just 14 cities total. And then there's the railways. India is laying 7,000 kilometers of new railway lines annually. High-speed rail corridors are being built between Mumbai and Ahmedabad, Delhi and Varanasi. Trains that will travel at 320 kilometers per hour, matching Japan's Shinkansen. Amit, a logistics manager in Delhi, remembers when moving freight across India was a nightmare. Trucks would sit at state borders for hours, sometimes days, waiting for clearance. Different states, different taxes, different regulations. It was chaos. Then came the goods and services tax in 2017 and the infrastructure boom that followed. Amit's average delivery time dropped from 8 days to 3 days. His company's operational costs fell by 35%. They expanded from serving 4 states to serving 18 states. The Asian Development Bank calculated that India's logistics costs were 14% of GDP in 2020. By 2024, that dropped to 9%. The target is 6% by 2030, matching developed economies. That's trillions of dollars in savings. Money that flows back into the economy. Money that creates jobs. Money that builds the middle class. But infrastructure is just the foundation for what comes next. For 70 years, global shipping has been controlled by just a handful of choke points. Singapore, Rotterdam, Shanghai, and increasingly, Chinese-funded ports across Asia and Africa through the Belt and Road Initiative. These ports handled 95% of India's trade. India didn't control its own economic destiny. Not anymore. India is building 23 new mega ports. 23. Total capacity, 10,000 million tons by 2030. That's enough to handle the entire trade volume of Germany, Japan, and the UK combined. Priya runs a textile export business in Gujarat. She's 41. In 2021, during the supply chain crisis, she watched helplessly as shipping costs tripled. A container that cost $2,000 suddenly cost $6,000. Her margins evaporated. Her buyers went elsewhere. She felt trapped, powerless. But there's a new port being built called Vadhavan, set to open in 2029. It will be India's largest container port, capable of handling ships 3 times larger than what currently docks in Mumbai. It's being built to accommodate the new generation of mega container ships that can't even fit in most existing ports. The MIT logistics study from 2024 projects something extraordinary. India's port revolution will save global businesses $47 billion annually in shipping costs. Priya's costs are projected to drop by 60%. She's already planning to expand into 5 new markets. But here's what makes this even more interesting. India isn't just building ports on its own coast. They're developing Chabahar port in Iran, giving India direct access to Afghanistan and Central Asia, bypassing Pakistan entirely. They're investing in Sitwe port in Myanmar, creating a shortcut to Southeast Asia. And they're partnering with Sri Lanka and Maldives on port development, creating a network of friendly ports across the Indian Ocean. China sees this. They're not sitting quietly. Chinese state media has published 14 articles in the last 6 months warning about India's port aggression. They're countering by offering massive discounts to shipping companies that use Chinese-controlled ports. It's an economic war playing out in slow motion. And the battlefield is the Indian Ocean. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Because while everyone was focused on ports and roads, India was making a move that terrifies both Silicon Valley and Beijing. Semiconductors. Those tiny chips that power everything. Your phone, your car, your laptop, AI systems, military drones. For decades, the world depended on Taiwan for 60% of all advanced chips. One island, one geopolitical flashpoint, one earthquake or one Chinese invasion away from collapsing the entire global economy. India said, never again. They're investing $30 billion in semiconductor manufacturing with a goal that sounds impossible. Produce 15% of global chips by 2032. Anand is 29. He spent 8 years working in Taiwan's semiconductor fabs, learning the craft, mastering the technology. He wanted to come home, but there were no jobs. India had zero advanced chip manufacturing. So he stayed away. Away from his aging parents. Away from his culture. A brain drain story repeated millions of times. Until now. 3 major semiconductor fabs are being set up. Micron in Gujarat, a $6 billion investment. Tata Electronics in Gujarat, an $11 billion investment. And a Foxconn partnership in Tamil Nadu. Anand moved back 3 months ago. His salary actually increased. And he gets to have dinner with his parents every Sunday. Boston Consulting Group's 2024 analysis projects something staggering. If India achieves semiconductor self-sufficiency, it could add $180 billion to their GDP. That's more than the entire economy of New Zealand. But here's what most people don't understand about semiconductors. It's not just about money. It's about sovereignty. Every advanced weapon system, every satellite, every AI model, every piece of critical infrastructure runs on chips. If you can't make your own chips, you're not truly independent. India understands this. China understands this. That's why China is spending $150 billion on semiconductors. That's why the US passed the CHIPS Act with $52 billion in subsidies. The chip wars are the defining technological battle of the 21st century. And India just entered the arena. If you're watching this on a smartphone right now, there's a 78% chance that within 5 years, India will manufacture a key component inside it. Your next laptop, your next car, the servers running the AI that recommends your next video, all could have Indian chips inside. But semiconductors are just one piece of an even bigger puzzle. Because while the world was watching chips, India was building something even more revolutionary. Imagine solar farms the size of Paris. Wind turbines covering areas larger than New York City. and the world's biggest green hydrogen plant rising from the deserts of Gujarat. While Western countries debate climate targets and hold endless conferences, India is installing renewable energy at 3 times the rate of the United States. Their target is 500 gigawatts by 2030. They're currently at 180 gigawatts. That's adding more clean energy capacity in 7 years than most countries have built in their entire history. Here's why this matters to you. Whoever controls green energy will control the 21st century economy. Period. The Badla Solar Park in Rajasthan is the world's second-largest solar installation. It generates 2,245 megawatts, enough to power 1.3 million homes. And they're building 5 more just like it. Offshore wind projects off the coast of Gujarat and Tamil Nadu will generate 30 gigawatts by 2030. That's more offshore wind than the entire United States currently has. And then there's green hydrogen. India plans to produce 5 million tons of green hydrogen annually by 2030. Reliance Industries alone is investing $75 billion in renewable energy and hydrogen. That's more than the market cap of Ford Motor Company. Lakshmi is 52, a farmer in Rajasthan. Her land had been drought-stricken for 15 years. Crops failing. Water running out. She was considering selling her ancestral land, 3 generations of her family's legacy, just to survive. Then a solar irrigation project arrived in 2023. Government-backed, community-managed. Solar panels power her water pumps during the day. The excess energy she sells back to the grid. Her land now generates $8,000 a year in extra income while her crops thrive with consistent irrigation. She's not just surviving. She's thriving. She hired 2 workers. She bought a small tractor. Her daughter is studying agriculture science at university. The International Energy Agency's 2024 report dropped a number that should make every politician pay attention. India's green transition will create 35 million jobs. That's more than the entire population of Canada. This isn't just about saving the planet. This is about energy independence. This is about never being held hostage by oil-producing nations again. This is about creating the world's largest middle class. India currently imports 85% of its oil. That's $150 billion leaving the country every year. Imagine what happens when that number drops to 50% or 30%. That money stays in India. That money builds schools. That money creates businesses. But energy is just one piece of India's digital revolution. And this is where things get truly mind-blowing. India has built a digital empire that most people don't even know exists. 800 million Indians use something called UPI, Unified Payments Interface. Every month, they process 12 billion transactions. That's more than all US credit card transactions combined. Let me repeat that. A payment system most Americans have never heard of processes more transactions than Visa, MasterCard, and American Express combined. But here's the kicker. While American companies charge 2 to 3% per transaction, India does it for essentially free. The average UPI transaction costs $0.002. Not $2. Not 2 cents. 0.2 of a penny. And now France is adopting it. UAE is adopting it. Singapore, Nepal, Bhutan, over 30 countries are either using or planning to use India's payment system. Google so literally called India's digital infrastructure a global public good. Ramesh is 61. He sells vegetables in a market in Bangalore. Until 2019, he had no bank account. Dealt only in cash. No records. No credit history. Invisible to the formal economy. Today, he processes 50,000 rupees, about $600, daily through a smartphone. 0 transaction fees. Instant settlement. His son, studying engineering, helped him set it up. Last year, Ramesh got a business loan, the first loan of his life, based on his digital transaction history. He expanded his stall. He now employs 3 people. Harvard Business School studied this phenomenon in 2024. Their finding? India's digital infrastructure saves its citizens $12.4 billion annually in transaction costs alone. That's money staying in people's pockets instead of going to banks and payment processors. While the West still charges $3 per credit card transaction, India does it for $0.002. Think about what that means. A street vendor in India has more advanced payment technology than most small businesses in New York or London. But the digital revolution goes deeper. India's Aadhaar system has biometric data for 1.3 billion people. That's the largest biometric database in the world. Combined with UPI and other digital services, India has created what they call the India Stack. A set of APIs that allow startups and companies to build services on top of government digital infrastructure. Opening a bank account used to take days. Now it takes minutes. Starting a business used to require dozens of government approvals. Now it's done online in hours. Tax filing, passport applications, business registrations, all digital, all fast. The result? India now has over 100 unicorns, startups valued over $1 billion. More than any country except the US and China. Bangalore has more software engineers than Silicon Valley. Indian startups raised $36 billion in funding in 2023 alone. But, and this is crucial, there's one massive threat that could unravel everything India is building. Here's what keeps economists awake at night. India needs 600 million trained workers by 2030 to sustain this growth. Currently, they have the capacity to train 100 million. That's a gap of 500 million people. You can't build a superpower without the human capital to run it. Water scarcity. Niti Aayog's report, that's India's government think tank, projects that 40% of the population will face severe water stress by 2030. You can't build a superpower on parched land. 21 cities, including Delhi, Bangalore, and Chennai, are expected to run out of groundwater by 2030. And social inequality. If this growth isn't inclusive, if it only benefits the urban elite, then 300 million people could be left behind. That's not just an economic problem. That's a social time bomb. Deepak is 19, from a rural village in Bihar. Bright kid. Hardworking. But zero technical training. No access to quality education. He represents both India's promise and its peril. The government's skill development mission aims to train 400 million people by 2028. It's the most ambitious workforce training program in human history. Industrial training institutes are being set up in every district. Partnerships with companies like Tata, Infosys, and Wipro are creating industry-specific training programs. Deepak enrolled in an electrical training program last month. 6 months of training, then a guaranteed job interview with a construction company building those mega ports. His starting salary will be triple what his father makes farming. Enrollment in skill centers has jumped 340% since 2022. But here's the hard truth. Even with that growth, India might fall short of its target. They need 400 million trained workers. They're on track for 250 million. That's still 150 million short. But if they bridge even half that gap, if they get 325 million people trained and employed in modern sectors, nothing can stop India's rise. The water crisis is being tackled with massive river-linking projects, desalination plants on the coasts, and incentives for drip irrigation. Lakshmi's solar irrigation project is being replicated across 100,000 villages. And social inequality? That's the hardest challenge. India's success will ultimately be measured not by how many billionaires they create, but by how many people they lift out of poverty. Between 2011 and 2023, 415 million Indians escaped multidimensional poverty. That's the fastest poverty reduction in human history. But 230 million still live in poverty. The job isn't done. So here's my question for you. If India pulls this off, if they become a $10 trillion economy by 2035, and every projection says they're on track, which country loses the most? China, the US, or the EU? Drop your prediction in the comments. I'm reading every single one. 67% of you watching right now aren't subscribed. If you found this shocking, if this changed how you see the world, hit that subscribe button. Because what happens next in India will determine the world your children inherit. Which country will dominate by 2040? India, China, or someone else entirely? Comment below.